I'm out and about on some trails around Exeter, and I'm going to share with you some tips about how to run on the trails. But first, there's one tip that you should know about before you even start. So let's rewind and go back to before the run. Before you head off on your trail adventure, you want to make sure you've got the right shoes. So I've got a couple of shoes here with me. One is a pair of trail shoes and the other is a road shoe, just to make you aware of the differences. So a trail shoe looks like this, not very fashionable, but it's an outer shoe, so it's flat-footed basically. And it has all these little raised bits on it that essentially make it easier to find grip on the trails, and you want that grip because that's going to help you not fall over as easily. So if we compare that with a little road shoe, so this is a soft knee, this is quite a little lightweight shoe, there is virtually nothing protruding on the edge, so it's completely flat, and that makes it ideal for road surfaces where you know there isn't going to be that much slide. So comparing these two, like side to side, you can tell that the trail shoe has a lot more kind of bumps in that edge, and that is just going to help you dig into any mud or any bits of like loose stones, just to kind of keep you more stable. So definitely have a look at your trail conditions, and if it is like quite a technical trail, and by that I mean it isn't very smooth sailing, you will probably want a technical trail shoe and like that's more specialized in that area. Trail shoes have a bit of a thicker and tougher bottom to them, so the sole of the shoe is just a bit more hard wearing, and that's because when you're running on the trail you'll have stones and bits and pieces underneath your feet, and obviously if you felt them every single time they went under, well, it's going to be a little bit painful. So these will be a lot thicker and harder to kind of push down on than kind of road shoes, where you're wanting that bounce back really from road shoes, and that's what helps you propel them. In trail running you don't really get that help. I mean, you might do with really high-end trail shoes, but for the most part they're more about protecting your feet rather than helping you run faster. So yeah, make sure if you've got technical trails that you have trail shoes on. Right, back over to me outside. Right, I'm going to do this next section whilst I'm up at the top of the hill. Don't know if you can, no, you can't quite make out the view, but it goes quite far. So when you're out on trails, you want to think about bringing your bag with you, even if you don't necessarily normally bring a bag with you, because you're likely going to be out in the middle of nowhere without any shops or things like that around you. And if you feel like you want a snack or a bit of water, well, that provision just isn't going to be there for you and available. So you want to try and be as self-sufficient as you possibly can whilst you're out on a trail run. We usually bring a little first aid kit, like literally just a tiny thing with us, with a few plasters. I usually try and put in some blister plasters, some fabric plasters, and then also a bit of Germaline, just in case you start getting any rubs or aches as you go around, because again, you're unlikely to be able to find a place to purchase any wash down on the trails. So I've got about a litre of water with me today because we're going to be out for about 3 hours, and then also I've got a couple of gels which I don't really like eating, but I've got them as an emergency. Then also a bit of flapjack and a little OT bar just to keep my energy up. And I'll have some as I go around,
And then the water you want to just keep having every so often. You'll find that if you do get a specific running bag, like a hydration vest or anything like that, it's also likely to have a whistle in it. So if you do suddenly get really lost in the middle of nowhere and you literally have no idea, hopefully by using that whistle, if there is anyone around, they're going to be able to be alerted to the fact that you need help. So in my one, oh, there's a big branch there. In my one, you want it's up here and it's tucked away. If you wash it, it does sometimes come out. So do just keep an eye on it. You don't want it banging around. But then with bags, you can get extra things that kind of play into it about chafing. So you want to find a bag that suits you and that is the best for your shape and your body and your running style. So I've got a little hydration vest that isn't very big. If I was running for further, I might want a bigger bag. But for now, this is all I need. So that was tip number 2. Tip number 3 is to keep a little eye out as to where your feet are headed. On my trail today, it's not too bad underfoot, but you can get trails where it's really rocky and you just need to watch where you put your feet. So always keep one eye on the ground. As much as you want to look at the scenery, you got to keep an eye out for those trip hazards as well. As you're running along the trails, you might find big stones, you might find tree trunks, and especially if you're doing trail running in winter, you have to be careful about all the mud spots and puddles as well, because you never know how deep they are. But yeah, you've also got things like stinging nettles, so just always keep an eye out, because you don't want to be falling over in the middle of nowhere. So if I keep looking forwards, it's because I'm trying to look at the trail, make sure I don't trip over as I'm filming. Anyway. When you're trail running, you also want to not kind of keep looking at your pace, because trails are just so unpredictable. So the only thing you can really compare it to is the same time on another kind of run of the same trail. And even then, you've kind of got to compare it to the same season, because if you're doing it in winter, it's likely to be more muddy and slippery, so you'll be a bit more cautious. Summer, it might be a bit more hard, or it might just be a bit more busy. So, just don't compare your times, because you will go slower on the trails, unless it's like a downhill section. But even that's not going to make up for any of the technical bits of route or anything like that. So just be warned that your pace on the road won't be the same as your pace on the trail, and just accept it and embrace it and use it as like a little incentive to be more present in your run and look at the views, whether it's on a coast path looking out to the sea, or you're going through a load of like farmers fields, or you've just got to the top of the hill and you're going to take a little breather on the top. Just go a little bit slower, be present, and hopefully you can see a bit better now. But that's it for tip number 4. If you are on a section of trail that is particularly technical, and by that I mean it's rocky or uneven, possibly even slippery, or like there's lots of grit that kind of always makes way, you want to really relax your pace. You don't really want to be running down that like as fast as you can, unless you've done lots of training for that type of terrain and you're pretty comfortable. But because these are beginner tips, I am going to assume that you're not very comfortable with that kind of terrain. So do take it easy, because you don't want to be running super fast, have your footing go a little bit wonky, and then find yourself with an ankle injury or even worse. Oh, look, a little bit of a rock fall down here. So as you saw, for me to get past that and all those rocks, I literally just went really slow, little tiny steps, and just taking it easy, because you just don't want that kind of injury risk to get you out of running again. You want to be nice to your body and just work yourself up to going faster. You don't need to hit all of your milestones in one go. Trails often have quite short, steep inclines, so you want to know what your tactic is for hills. And like I said, I feel like my heels just automatically go up whenever there's a bit of a gradient, just to try and help get over it. Feels a little bit like putting your feet into like sports mode or something, just like you would with Crocs. Not that I've got a pair of them. And it just helps focus the mind, and I swear it's more stable if you're up like that, as opposed to overreaching, trying to get a flat foot and then just pulling your Achilles, like the back of your ankle. So try techniques that work for you, give them a try on both short and long gradients, because you may find that you just need to practice it, because certain techniques your arches might not withstand it for too long. And then also on the descent, that's where you'll really feel it, so you'll need a completely separate technique for that side of the hill.